Hey, you're listening to Indiana Underground Radio, and we are literally underground. Coming up later in the show, their Mercatus Center of the George Mason University, their Freedom in the 50 States, and also What is Libertarianism with Chris Spangle, the Executive Chair of the Libertarian Party of Indiana.
That's right, and we're also going to go over the UFC fight this previous weekend between John Jones and Evans, and there's also some other fights on the card, obviously. And we do have a few stories pertaining to the TSA as well. So,
first, we'd like to do a explanation of this show. Indiana Underground Radio was formed for several reasons. The first is to give voice to the common man, and to be a show of the people by the people. Secondly, we wanted to take a look at, quote, third parties that may have some very good ideas but do not get enough attention in the mass media. Most importantly, this show hopes to promote individual liberties and the restoration of our constitutional rights that seem to be going away. This show we interview politicians, political organizations and parties, authors, and most importantly, private citizens here in Indiana. Our website is www.indianaundergroundradio.com. It also has blogs written by our fellow citizens, not just by us. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please contact us. You can just click on the contact tab of the website. The phone number to the show is 812-214-JULY.
Also, with your blogs, if you have a certain story that you'd like us to address that we may not have touched on or we don't know about, send it through to a blog, and we'll try and get to it if we think that the story needs to be touched upon.
And also, doing this is not easy, nor is it cheap. Please consider supporting our sponsors, which help make this possible. And also, if you're in a band, particularly one from Indiana, and you like to allow us to play your music on this show, we'd absolutely love to, within reason. And so please contact us if you're interested in that. The one story I would really like to touch on, that I feel is sad and pathetic, is on April 13th, 2012, according to the Indy Star, an Indiana Tuskegee Airman, he had his medal stolen, or he's going to get it replaced, excuse me. And I believe this happened in Gary, Indiana. It says officials are working to replace a Congressional Gold Medal stolen from the home of a 93-year-old man who was one of the Tuskegee Airmen, a unit of black fighter pilots who served in World War II. The medal was stolen from Quentin Smith's home in Gary during a burglary last summer, but Police Sergeant Freddie Cook said Smith was reluctant to report the crime. Smith, who spent much of the war as a flight instructor with the unit, was among about 300 surviving Tuskegee Airmen to receive the award in 2007. Cook said Smith was his high school principal, but he couldn't believe anyone would be so disrespectful. Quote, "It broke my heart because you have not just a veteran, but you also have a 93-year-old man," Cook said. Quote, "And somebody has the audacity to break into his home and take things." City officials contacted U.S. Representative Pete, I spell Visclosky,
Visclosky's, I believe.
Thank you, office, about getting him a replacement medal for Cook, and the congressman hopes to present it to him soon, said his spokesman, Sarah Olson. So, sir, I'm sorry that happened to you, and I definitely hope your gold medal gets replaced.
Shocking that this happened in Gary, Indiana.
I'm devastated. I can't believe it. I believe Tyler has a story, nice juicy story on the TSA.
Yeah, once again, TSA proves of its incompetence and selfishness. There's actually a story that just broke this morning. Today is April 29th, and basically it states that the TSA, there's a couple agents that were accused of actually taking bribes to pass cocaine, methamphetamines, and marijuana through airport security. Just once again, this just shows the type of character that they're hiring for TSA, and once again, it just proves that they are not protecting us. They're not doing the jobs that they're made out to be, which I don't agree that that particular job should exist in the first place. But the way they're actually able to pass these drugs through the security was actually the people that were running the X-ray machine, you know, on the conveyor belt. They were actually had just cocaine, or they just had suitcases of cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamines, and they're just running it through this X-ray machine. And this happened for about half a year last year. Now, when something like that goes off, it's up to the person that's behind the machine to, you know, alert someone, you know, of the proper actions to be taken. So, I mean, that could easily have been, you know, some, you know, firearms or anything like that. Obviously, that would have probably taken more money for, you know, for bribing, but it just shows that, you know, they can it's well within reason that they can be bought. These are, from what I understand, near minimum wage federal employees, and their courage and, you know, can be bought. You know, once again, it just shows that TSA is just completely incompetent, and I don't want to hang on the TSA for too long, because I'd like to do a complete show about them down the road. But let's just say I'm not a fan of the TSA in general. I you know, believe it's extremely unfortunate, and there's been one that has been caught, and there's supposedly another one that's supposed to come forward and confess this upcoming Thursday. So those are the two TSA agents, and the two drug dealers have already been apprehended, the drug runners, so to speak.
Well, not to hang on TSA too bad, but I'm not sure I could help myself. This is slightly dated, and I do not believe this happened in Indiana. However, being a federal agency, it affects you too. This is from USA Today. The Transportation Security Administration Bag E inspector at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport is facing 2 to 10 years in prison for stealing Apple iPods from luggage over 8 months, according to reports. Clayton Keith Double, 36, of Bedford, Texas, was arrested February 1st and indicted by the Tarrant County Grand Jury last week on charges of theft by a public servant of items valued up to $20,000, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reported. Double is free on $5,000 bail and has been suspended indefinitely by the TSA. 8 stolen iPads were recovered, including one found among Devell's possessions when he was arrested. His attorney, Greg Westfall, declined to comment to the Star-Telegram. Airport police say that a traveler reported a missing iPad 2 on January 24th. The traveler said that he had traced it electronically to a home in Bedford owned by DeVell. While arresting him, police found an iPod in DeVell's leather satchel. Double told the police he couldn't remember where he had bought it, the Star-Telegram reported, citing police reports. In a statement quoted by the Star-Telegram, the TSA called the arrest part of a zero-tolerance policy for allegations of misconduct or theft at an airport. So basically they want to make each one of these things seem like isolated reports, but I can't help it. Here's another short one. The Huffington Post points out that it's not the first time a TSA employee has stolen an iPad. Well, I looked into that. According to columnist Christopher Elliott, in January, Michael Pujol, I believe, P-U-J-O-L, a screener at Miami International Airport, so it's a different major airport, was arrested for stuffing stolen goods from luggage into a hidden pocket in his work jacket. He even allegedly tried to sell stolen iPads on Craigslist. Something stolen on Craigslist. Shocking. Why iPads causing some TSA employees to behave so badly? Elliott writes, they're relatively compact, they're sought after, and there's a robust, no questions asked market for used iPads online. and they're pretty easy to steal. He says, since TSA doesn't require them to be removed during the screening, passengers often pack them away in their carry-on bag and forget them. Of course, that goes through TSA scans. The TSA called the latest incident isolated. Right. Quote, the unacceptable behavior of this individual in no way a reflection of the dedication of our nearly 50,000 transportation security officers who work tirelessly to keep our skies safe. Well, we might be keeping our skies safe, but not your stuff that you own. It's yours. The agency said, according to the Star-Telegram. That quote came to mind immediately. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary security deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin, 1775.
I just crack up because they call this an isolated incident, which
always.
It literally, if you people can do research online, you'll find stories like this that happen, once a month, once a week, down to once a day. There's another story where a little girl, 4 years old, basically was frisked into the point where she was in tears. There's constantly stories every single day about them either causing some type of damage like that, or stealing stuff, or taking bribes, like the story I just talked about. And of course, this story and the story I just mentioned happened within 2 weeks of each other. But like I said, it's not an isolated incident. That's a bunch of BS. And another thing is not just that it's these negative stories that constantly come out. Ever since the TSA was enacted, I have never seen one story where they bust somebody that's a potential terrorist that wasn't an idiot in the first place, like the shoe bomber who was trying to light his shoe and somebody by chance smelled the sulfur.
Yeah, that was a private citizen on that same flight, right?
Exactly.
No government official caught it.
No government official, no air marshal, no TSA agent. It was just a citizen that ended up, smelling sulfur, and hey, something smells like it's burning. But if somebody can find a story, just one story, that's all I ask, one story that TSA actually having a positive impact, please let me know, because I've searched tirelessly day after day and not found one example. Not one.
Yeah, especially if you're in Indiana and you had a particular experience with the TSA you would care to share with us, email, call us, talk about it.
I certainly wish that the politicians would go through the same security measures that we have to go through. Next up on the docket, I'm going to talk about the UFC fight 145 that happened last weekend. The main card was Rashad Evans versus John Bones Jones. The main card consisted of, it's been a while, Mark Bosick versus John Alessio. Bosick ended up winning by unanimous decision, 230 to 27 from the judges and 129 to 28. Bosick really just outclassed him in every aspect. Stand up, to the ground game, to takedowns. It was really domination. Now, obviously, it didn't end before it went to decision, but yeah, it was pretty well domination. Next one was Mark Hominick versus Eddie Yagin. Eddie Yagin ended up winning by split decision. It was a great fight. Mark Hominick was doing really well as far as peppering him with the jab from afar, and Yagin's face was really badly messed up towards the end, especially in the third round. Hominick maybe could have won by split decision, but it was really all Yagin. He came out swinging for the fences. Hominick never